Welcome to Homeworkology. As a community, we're making homework each and every day.
Hi, welcome to Homeworkology. We're here today with Gregarious Reid. Thank you for joining us, Gregarious. We appreciate your time, and we're excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you, so are you a native New Yorker, or like, how's that working?
I am not a native New Yorker. I am originally from Washington, D.C., so I'm a Washingtonian, but I've been here almost 20 years, and I have put in my blood, sweat, and tears. So I am a New Yorker at this point.
Well, I too claim D.C. as my starting place.
Hey.
When I came along, and so I spent like my first 3 years in DC. I don't remember any of it. So I'm a Philly girl, basically, but yeah, we have that in common. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm so happy that you are willing to join our conversation, and definitely because you come from a different perspective a little bit in terms of what you do. So give us a little bit of a background about, your professional space.
Okay, well, I'm an artist.
Yes.
Mainly and specifically an actor first. I've been acting for about 30 years since I was a teenager professionally. And so I've been in theater for a long time. I went to Howard University, got my degree in theater. I studied at Oxford. And then I came to New York and have just been doing the grind for a while now. And then while I was pursuing, or as I was pursuing acting, I started getting into like TV production. I used to be into stage management. So the arts is kind of where I live, where I breathe. And it's just a part of me.
Yes. And so that's interesting. So once you kind of got the bug and it was in you, you were fine with coming behind the scenes as well. So it wasn't like you felt like, oh, I have to always be up front. You were fascinated as equally by the production that was occurring behind the scenes?
I wouldn't say equally, but going to, again, Howard University, I was a theater arts major. So we got a full theater education. So I learned lighting, I learned sound. So then when I came to New York and I'm doing these auditions and trying to secure these roles, it was just a natural progression that I had these tools. And so they just help, I wouldn't call it a side gig because I enjoyed doing it.
Right.
And then I got into like casting and TV production. It just felt like a natural progression as opposed, I wouldn't say I love them equally.
I would say that about some things. So, okay, I feel you.
Okay, right.
I'm just saying. But let me ask you a question. So then you have devoted like 20, 30 years to build this career. And then all of a sudden, March of 2020 happens. How was your life? How was your professional trajectory impacted by COVID?
At first it wasn't, it was a little normal at first because as an actor, I spent a lot of time at home, you know what I mean? And waiting for that call or waiting for that next gig. Okay. So in the beginning, it felt a little normal in the beginning, but as it went on and it was like, oh, this is every day. This isn't the same.
Yeah, this is closing for like a year. Yeah.
Yes. So it was hard. And also, as artists, we're some of the times we're extroverts, so we're used to being around people and especially with theater and TV and film, it's a community kind of thing. There's people there. So then for all of that to just stop and me just spending time by myself all the time, it was challenging. It was definitely challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have been hearing from so many people that we've been having this conversation with, just trying to understand the things that people struggled with initially, but then also those things that are having like a long lasting impact. And folks just waking up to the fact that how dependent they were on their professional lives to also feed interaction and contact and all of that. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, what just happened? So a lot of isolation, a lot of people were dealing with emotional issues as well. Did you find that in your community?
Say that again.
In your community, was that something that you,
Yeah, we're used to going every night to a show, right? You go do a show every night, and there's 500 to 1,000 people in an audience every night that you are giving a back and forth with.
Right.
And so to not have that,
I didn't even think
like, oh, yeah. And so now you're like, oh, I'm just going to talk to a screen. You know, it's just a different thing, and especially for theater artists, because you thrive off of that in person. You know, your energy is my energy, and we work off of that. So for that to just go completely away, it affects you.
You just like made me completely look at it from a different like perspective, because I hadn't really thought about, it's not just the guy across the hall office or the corner office that you don't get to see, or the receptionist. Like you are like thriving off the energy of thousands or hundreds of people. So okay. So then how is your profession collectively adjusting, or have they adjusted? What are people doing?
One of the good things, I remember when Broadway stopped. When Broadway closed, we kind of knew that was it. The smaller theaters around the country, even in New York, we were like, once Broadway closed, the moneymaker, that was it. But one of the good things was, and especially for me specifically, being in the pandemic forced everybody to do this virtual kind of situation. So now I find myself getting auditions I never got before, being seen by casting agents and directors that never would have happened before. But because now everybody has to look at their phone or their laptop, it opened up for a lot of artists opportunity. It gave you opportunity to be seen and to be heard and to be to showcase your talent in a way I think never happened before. And now that we've kind of we're moving past it, it's kind of sticking. So a lot of casting directors have said, you know what, I'm not renting the space to have auditions. I'm not spending that money to bring in people to record this. We can all do it from home. Everybody's doing it from Zoom. Everybody's self-taping.
It's fascinating because that's what a lot of office managers and a lot of CEOs are saying too. I'm no longer renting X thousands of square feet when y'all get the job done, and I know you get the job done because we've just done it for the last year and a half, 2 years. So we do see a lot of reduction in terms of offices, in terms of the footprint of businesses. Which brings us to the conversation of how people are managing the shift when so much now of their professional life is occurring within the four walls of their homes. And now their residences have become the backdrops for Zoom meetings or casting calls or whatever your gig is and whatever you happen to be into. So how does that feel? So it sounds like it's been a win. It doesn't feel intrusive to you to have these folks kind of coming into your home space.
It's been a win, but everything has their time. Like you got to keep your house clean more now because everybody can see everything going on in the back of
Well, there's that.
Yeah, but it's a twofold, right? Because again, actors are so used to going into spaces, and so if I can go do an audition and we're sitting in the same room, you can feel my energy of whatever I'm presenting or this character. And so then when we're removed by a computer or a phone, it just becomes a little harder. So for some actors, I think they were like, we don't like this because I need to be in the room so I can really I can't win doing this thing virtually. But for me and a lot of other actors, it has been amazing. Listen, in the summertime when you have to go to 4 auditions in New York and it's blazing hot and you're sweating and you're going from this one, you have to go to the next one. And maybe that day I didn't have enough to get an Uber to go all the way across town. Now I can do those 4 auditions right here in my house on my own terms, do it when I do it. I can edit it. I can change it up. So I think there's a big benefit for artists to be able to now have a little bit more control over what they're doing.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, as much as you can love your art, I think that there's a practical point that kicks in, especially at a certain age. And you're just like, yo, like this has to make financial sense. I have to be able to do it. And the thing that allows me to be seen by the most people and allows, you know, especially in a country where typically we're fighting against layers of discrimination and all the other things that are coming in. Now I can get into rooms that might have been closed to me, or where if I didn't know, you know, the network, then all of a sudden I can be here anyway. And at least they'll see me. At least, you know, I can't be denied that entry. So anything that gives us an easy entry is not a bad thing. But this is what I was talking about when we were talking a little bit earlier, that yes, there have been some absolute horrific things. Like so many people have lost people, so many industries have been impacted negatively. But there have also been these like stories, these glimmers of, hey, this is how we were resilient, or this is how I was able to kind of dig down and find something different or better for us through this kind of difficult process. So do you do all your interviews from the space that we're talking in now?
These days, most of the time, yes. I do a little different background and a little setup, but yes. And I will add that with all those great things, there were times though, you know, sitting here by myself and having to call a friend to say, hey, can you read this audition with me over Zoom? It was difficult to have to navigate a lot of that by yourself and in your own space, right? Because then when you click it off, I'm still just sitting here by myself, you know what I mean? And with my thoughts, and especially for an actor, it gave me more space to question myself, like, oh, how was that good? Was that bad? Was that, because now I'm just sitting here, where else am I gonna go? You know what I mean? It's not like I go somewhere and take my mind off of it like I would do normally before the pandemic. But now that I'm in the pandemic, I really have to sit with it. I have to sit with being this artist. You know what I mean? I have to sit with, oh, where's this next check going to come from? Or where's this next role going to come from? So it was kind of a, you know, a 50-50.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm getting like a lot of good insights into like just like what it is that you all are going through just to get your spirit prepared for the role, and then to kind of put yourself out there and to be evaluated in that way. Never really thought about it before. So do you think, can we talk a little bit about the social aspect? So you're not able to hang out after shows, you're not able to, you know, I don't know if you guys, like, I guess you're getting ready for the show, so maybe happy hour is not a thing, but like, what do you got, how do you make up for the lack of social interaction? I know for a lot of the single women I know, it's been a complete drag on, you know, their social lives. What's happened? I mean, I guess there's always, you know, Tinder. Yeah. That's worse, but.
There's Tinder. That you listen. I downloaded apps I never thought I would download before. I joined, if I'm being transparent, I joined a Black poly group on Facebook, which I said, what? But it just, you know, it was reaching for some kind of way to have these connections with people. Connectivity. Yeah, this connectivity. So, you know, I tried some things and tried to navigate some, and it was good. I will say this, it was good. And I think what the pandemic did do, like we got Zoom from the pandemic, you know what I mean? We got all these other apps, House Party and all those things that came about. And so people were able to connect in a way different way. And so artists kind of did the same thing. So then you have actors coming together and just, hey, y'all just want to read a script, you know what I mean, on Zoom? So we can all get some practice in, just so we can, you know what I mean? So we can play, or you want to come up with these ideas so we can write. Because what we had was nothing but time and space, right? And opportunity.
Yes. And then I guess also what it does is it expands the community in from a physical perspective. So now you're not just limited to who you can get from New York or Jersey City or whatever, but now all of a sudden you can reach across the coast or across the continent. And then, you know, there are a whole bunch of other people that you can bring into that story and that community as well.
You could have 5 Zoom dates in one day.
I'm so scared. Yes, I hear that. And you're smiling the whole time too. I remember those days, but yes. So look, let's do this. I really am super excited that we were able to meet. I do have to do a little bit of a commercial just to explain that the purpose of our conversation and all the conversations that we're having with Homeworkologies is really about the business of helping people work well from home. And Homeworks Well is a company in Philadelphia. We're located in Chestnut Hill, and it is going to allow us to really enhance people's work experiences as they're doing it from wherever. And our motto is that wherever you are, you should work well. And so I am very, very grateful that you shared your story with us. And I'm really happy that you are working so well from wherever you are, Gregarious. Thank you. Absolutely.